You know that guy whose name is supposedly George Santos, who is now a Republican congressman from Long Island? What is it, District 3? NY 3. Did he beat out? Was that a flip? That seat?
It was Tom Swazi's
old seat. And this is a guy who I first was introduced to by Glenn Greenwald, who was promoting that this would be the first immigrant gay Republican congressman in the history of Congress. Now, it turns out there's some question as to whether he's an immigrant. And it also turns out there's some question as to whether he's gay. And there's arguably some question as to what his name is. I mean, it's hard to know what we can trust because it seems that he's lied about every single public, I want to say factoid that he has released about himself. And then there's a lot of real questions around the money. But let me put it this way. The only new revelation that I've seen in the past 24 hours or 48 hours had to do with like I don't know, like a grade he got somewhere or where he went to school. I mean, something that was like...
he said he was on the volleyball team at Baruch, which he didn't go to.
Yeah, he told the Nassau County GOP in an interview that he was a volleyball champion at Brew College. He was never on the team.
No, that's a big deal. You don't want that...
Did he not go to Baruch either?
Yeah, there's a chance he was never at the school.
Well, look, you don't want to steal the valor of being a volleyball, player.
Right.
But in the great scheme of things, based upon what we know about, like, all of a sudden the guy's got millions of dollars in his bank account after having no money in his bank
Somehow
account.
Can loan himself $700,000 for his campaign.
And all the stuff that we found out about last week before he was signed in, that he was like sort of living with his sister's place, but his sister was about to be evicted, and somehow she managed to donate a ton of money to his race and other races, although she didn't have the money to pay the rent. There was weird stuff going on there. But all that we knew last week, the only new thing is that he had this stolen valor about being a volleyball player.
Yeah.
And somehow it seems that the Republican Party in the county chair...
Have you no shame?
That was the one that stroked the bed. Watch this.
After all along.
He disgraced the House of Representatives, and in particular, his fabrications went too far. Many groups were hurt. Specifically, I look at those families that were touched by the horrors of the Holocaust and feel for them. He has no place in the
he lied about being Jewish. He said he wasn't. He said he was Jew-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a joke I do around the office where I'm like, I'm not Jewish, I'm Jew-ish.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why he said it multiple times in interviews and said that he might have ties to Holocaust survivors. It was just all part of a bit about, like, I like Seinfeld.
Exactly. I have a bagel every weekend.
Many groups were hurt. Specifically, I look at those families that were touched by the horrors of the Holocaust and feel for them. He has no place in the Nassau County Republican Committee, nor should he serve in public service, nor as an elected official. He's not welcome here at Republican headquarters for meetings or at any of our events. As I said, he's disgraced the House of Representatives, and we do not consider him one of our congresspeople. Today, on behalf of the Nassau County Republican Committee, I am calling for his immediate resignation.
Now, I applaud this dude coming out, although it seems like it's a little bit late. Like, you could have done this. There's no new, like the Jew-y thing. That's not new information. In fact, that came out before he was inaugurated. Now, maybe they were just waiting for him to be inaugurated so that the process of replacing him would be more complicated. Or maybe something else they know that we don't know. Or that guy is heavily invested, the chairman of the Suffolk County Republican Party, heavily invested in collegiate level volleyball.
I mean, we've seen it done before. Brett Favre funneling money to that. Maybe he's a big volleyball fan too.
There's this other story that was in the Business Insider yesterday. George Santos' campaign paid staffer nearly $100,000 to pretend to be Kevin McCarthy's chief of staff and get money from donors.
But that's an old story too.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah.
That's been reported on it.
That was reported at least a couple of weeks ago. It really is interesting why today,
Yeah.
of all days, hump day. Oh, it broke today that Santos lied about his COVID diagnosis too.
Not that. I mean, is that the straw that breaks the camel's back?
Wait, he
or
said he had COVID and he actually didn't?
who? I mean, who knows at this point? The point is just that
Catch me if you can.
there's other stuff. There's other stuff brewing, and it's gotta be financially related because that's too shady.
There has to be something that's going to be like, not criminal, criminally, criminally-ish. Yeah, that's what it's possibly. It seems to me.
The only one new thing I saw today from the Daily Beast was that in the first paragraph of this report entitled "George Santos took donation from migrant smuggler," is embattled Rep. George Santos took an almost certainly illegal donation from an Italian national and confessed smuggler of undocumented immigrants who also happens to be the blood relative of some of his closest local supporters and campaign vendors.
Okay, well,
Hey. From an Italian
Yeah.
merchant with us.
He's trying to be a
Citizen of the
trailblazer.
world.
he was just trying to assimilate into. Did you hear how that guy said Nassau? Yeah. George is trying to fit in.
We shall see. We shall see. But that will knock it down by another. That gap getting a little bit tighter for the Republicans. And what's also going to be interesting. I mean, do we know what the replacement process is for a sitting congressperson? Is that does the governor replace? Do they have a special election?
For New York.
Yeah, I would have to double check. I think it would be calling an election, but I'll just double check. I think it does vary by state depending on calling the special elections in terms of duration from time of resignation or something like that.
Now that the chair of the Democratic Party in Florida has resigned, we have the worst chair of any Democratic Party probably in the country, and so that doesn't necessarily bode well for a special election.
No, definitely not. Because why? Because let alone the fact that anyone in the Democratic Party infrastructure in the state of New York somehow couldn't have dredged any of this up before he actually won the race.